Yes.
First things first. By how the events are unfolding ever since all such situations started. We started with that money scandal, and now we have headed to a constitutional crisis in the FDC party. What can you tell the public?
First of all, the FDC National Delegates Conference that sat on 19th resolved the impasse by making several resolutions, including suspension from leadership of Mr. Amriat as party president, Mr. Nandala Mafabi as Secretary General, and Mr. Ekanya as Treasurer General. As far as I am concerned, the Delegates Conference is the supreme organ of the party. It can only be the Delegates Conference that can change things. It is the reason that Nandala in particular was running around like a headless chicken. First, he said there is no money to organize the Delegates Conference. 2, he said the delegates coming for the Delegates Conference are not the right delegates. 3, he now writes police to come and stop it. 4, he hires chiefs. 5, he goes to court. All these efforts are a point that actually the Delegates Conference that sat was the final arbiter in all these matters. Because you ask yourself, if the Delegates Conference, if you have a court order, fake as it is, if the delegates are not the right one, why would you deploy all this energy to stop the meeting? Thank God the meeting took place. As far as the FDC is concerned, Nandala and Amriat are past tense. Yes.
So what justifies that the delegates who attended here were the genuine delegates?
You see, the contention now is that there has been an attempt to overthrow the FDC leadership, replacing the genuine FDC leaders with the fake ones that are appointed on phone. Unfortunately, you cannot expire others and for you remain. Have you ever heard anyone saying that Ssemujju is no longer the spokesperson of the party, or Nandala is not until his suspension? So the moment you at national level remain, it means everybody else has. Just use the general elections in Uganda. When we are elected as MPs and president and councillors and local government, you don't take effect until May. But elections will have taken place around February. So what the Nandalas were attempting to do racing against time, because they knew that the Delegates Conference will take action against them, was to create 2 parallel administrations. That there is one they have elected and the old one. But ask yourself, why were they fighting? If the delegates who were here were not genuine, why were they stopping them? That answers everything, that they knew these are genuine FDC leaders. Once they sit and take a decision, it is final. That's why chiefs, police, everybody was deployed to make sure that the delegates conference does not take place.
But that was an extraordinary meeting. Yeah. How did it turn out to be a delegates conference?
No, if you read the FDC Constitution, Article 23, it gives the chairman of the party the mandate to call the delegates conference and gives grounds. Every year, every 3 years, you can have an ordinary delegates conference, but you can also have an extraordinary delegates conference called by the chairman on his own volition, or if the chairman is petitioned by the district leadership. So this was an extraordinary delegates conference under Article 23 of the FDC Constitution.
So does this split finally mean that you succumbed to divide and rule politics?
We continue fighting Mr. Museveni and his family. We may not speak the same language, but we continue deploying our energy. For me as a person, I had actually desired that all the opposition political parties in Uganda form one party like you see it in Kenya. But human beings are human beings. Your desires are not the desires of everybody. So we continue forming different platforms, but doing the same thing. So I don't want to blame Museveni that he is entirely to blame for the division that you see in the parties. Some of us are also selfish. Because me, I think all the opposition parties, because our ideology does not differ, our policies don't differ, we should have formed one platform, all of us, long ago, which hasn't been achieved. So we continue fighting the way we are.
How long is this reorganization at Katonga going to last?
The National Delegates Conference gave us 6 months. First, to set up a committee to investigate people who received Museveni's money.
Okay.
2, to organize the elections. The Honorable Mike Kabaziguruka is in charge of electoral affairs. Today he presents a draft roadmap, electoral roadmap to National Executive Committee, which will pass, and then elections will begin. But concurrently, we are also launching a national mobilization, recruitment, and registration of membership. We will be issuing party cards. So we are now finalizing the smaller details of what these 2 programs will entail.
How is different will that committee be from the Elders Committee? Because the other committee, or nobody in the FDC can justify the amount of money which Nganda brought to the FDC.
You see, the Elders Committee was supposed to be a neutral committee to listen and investigate and then inform the party of what to do. Unfortunately, Amriat, one of the people investigated, was the one who set up the committee. Not only did he stop at that, when he was holding meetings around the country, Dr. Nabuiso, the chair of the committee, was seen attending Amriat Nandala's meeting in Usoga. So the committee lost credibility. No wonder their report was as useless as it can be. That's why on the day National Council was convening to receive that report, you saw Chiface at Najana Nkumi and beating, and then police arresting the FDC leaders. So yeah, that whole effort was discredited. That's why we are now putting back the party on the rail and the right path.
Before the split, what was the level of hypocrisy?
There is no split in the FDC. The split is in your mind. We have suspended the former leaders. So you mean when Museveni drops people from cabinet, there are 2 cabinets? There is no split as far as I am concerned. There is one party whose organs have started doing their work.
Honorable, to any minds, one can tell that there is Katonga and there is Najana Nkumi.
I don't care. I am not any mind. I am speaking to you as an official of the party. There is no split. There are people who have suspended. We will deal with them.
Okay, what is the level of hypocrisy in FDC?
I don't understand. Hypocrisy means what?
Because each party, like Najana Nkumi and Katonga, accuse each other of one manipulating the constitution, and that looks like a scapegoat.
You see, these issues are very simple to resolve. Pick a copy of the FDC constitution and read on your own. If you're reading about a National Delegates Conference, 23 will tell you who calls a delegates conference. You can also go on Article 28, which assigns the chairman of the party the powers to call a delegates conference. So as far as we are concerned, people can live in deception, they can live in denial. But those who want to go beyond, because you see, we cannot be arbiters in our own case. The media and the public can judge, and then they will take a decision.
Honorable, do you want to tell me that now FDC is more united than before?
This party, since it started, it has lost people. People have died. There are people who have been compromised and went to support Museveni. When you are involved in a war like we're involved in, you cannot, everybody, okay, people will put in effort for a period, others will leave. Even Museveni faced it when he was fighting in Ruwero. There was Kaira in Kampala, there was Nkwanga here, there was Moses Sari in West Nile. So there will be splinter groups. So what you can today describe, I think the Nandala is a splinter group, like it happened.
So do you want to tell me that there's still room to work with the Nandala group?
There is room to work with every Ugandan, because the fight for our freedom is not limited and localized to only us. We are fighting for a common good. Whoever wants to participate in ending Museveni's rule and replace it with a better administration is an ally, and it doesn't matter in which party you are.
How do you distance yourself from the fact that your struggle is to gain political offices, but not nation building?
The struggle to remove Museveni does not in any way suggest that Ssemujju will be the one in the government or Dr. Besigye. It is a collective struggle for everybody. Because if Mr. Museveni had respected the constitution and left in 2001, Besigye would have left in 2011. 2021 would be another president, maybe Ssemujju, even that one should have left. So all that we care, even if someone is selfish and is pursuing personal interest, once you have standards, you have a constitutional limit, that person will go. And then there will be competition, because you see today what we face is a leader, is a life president, someone who is not going away, is using state institutions to stay in power.
So how are you going to account for the activities you are doing currently in terms of financially? If you're saying FDC
the FDC, since its inception, survives on donations and contributions of membership. It is only, I think FDC is now 20 years old. It is only after, I think, the 205 enactment of the Political Parties and Organizations Act that made some money available through the Electoral Commission. I drive my car here using my own fuel, so everybody else does the same thing. So this party survives on the goodwill of its members.
So, Honorable,
that will be the final one.
Okay. What does such a position, like you who has been in the politics for a long time, what does such a position put on the table ahead of 2026 when we see the
You see, the manipulation by Mr. Museveni, and I don't want to blame NRM because many of them in the NRM are victims. The manipulation by Mr. Museveni and his appetite to take over public institutions, political parties, religious organizations, traditional institutions, remains, the appetite remains. It is up to people who are in those institutions to keep pushing back. It is not the first time that Museveni has attempted to infiltrate FDC, and FDC will not be the last institution that he will want to infiltrate. So those of us who are in FDC must continue pushing back. But the general, the broader issue that everybody must understand is that collectively as a country, whether you are in media, whether you are part of a religious community, whether you are part of civil society, we have a duty to get an accountable government that will serve everybody. That duty is to every citizen. Us who are here can only make a contribution. We can even get compromised like many other people have. But once the majority remains focused on pushing and enforcing an accountable government, that collective good is what should motivate everybody.
So the way you're speaking looks like the constitution has no problem and there's no any crisis in the constitution of FDC.
Constitutions will never have a crisis. It is individuals implementing this constitution that are going to cause problems. The Ugandan constitution was a very good constitution, only to be manipulated by Museveni. The FDC constitution remains a very good constitution, but now it has been overthrown by Nana and Amriat. Thank God we suspended them. We are now back to running the party the normal way.
With delegates whom they say are not genuine.
Get a list, ask Nandala the list of the FDC delegates.
We are members of the Democratic Party and we are proud to be so. But what we have is the confusion left with us by our former president Norbert Mao, who joined the government and crossed the line to join NRM. So we had a leadership crisis which we are sorting out. And when we sort out the leadership crisis, our party has always been such that it welcomes the idea of forging a common front in order to put new faces on the scene, to ensure that Ugandans get new faces, new energies, and a new team that can take Ugandans across from the leader who has served for over 40 years to a new dispensation that will cater for the Ugandan politics.
Should we say the situation at FDC is a bit different from DP, that Mao moved individually and DP is still strong?
Mao moved as an individual, but together with his team, with whom he was elected in Gulu, save for a few who remained Democrats. Some of them want to get jobs in government. They want to become RDCs, commissioners. They want to become ministers and so on and so forth. For Mao, for him, he got a job Then there is another one who went for East African Community Affairs as an MP. So they can proceed. What remains of the Democratic Party should be in the hands of a new team of leaders within the Democratic Party, who we are. Currently, we have a sigh of relief, because even the court has made a decision that what happened in Gulu, where Mao and his National Executive Committee was elected, was irregular, it was illegal, it was unconstitutional, and his National Executive Committee was quashed. So we don't have the National Executive Committee, we have the National Council, which is going to elect the new National Executive Committee.
So does this justify that most of the politicians, if not all, front the urge for political offices but not in nation building?
Well, some of them. But these ones provide a very bad example of those who are in politics just to get fame or to get jobs. But we think that we are different, and those differences are exhibited in the way we behave and the durability of our exercise of rights in order to make Ugandans better, make our country better.
Why has it been so difficult to have a unified or an alliance in terms of fronting one candidate as opposition, especially when elections near?
Well, leaders have always been confused. They think that building their parties is an important thing at this moment. It is important to build the systems within our respective political parties. It is also important to get the topmost job. But if at all you cannot get the topmost job, you can work with others in order to establish a new dispensation away from the NRM orthodoxy. You get new leaders that people can trust with power, with the responsibility of leading the country. And it doesn't matter whether you are the topmost leader or an auxiliary leader who can take the country forward. We are stuck with the Museveni for over 40 years. And it doesn't need rocket science for one to discover that the only thing that you need is a team. Work as a team to get a team captain, and then make that one your leader. It doesn't matter where they come from, who they are, as long as they have the electability. People have accepted them. You bring them the expertise, you bring them the knowledge, the know-how, and then they can become good leaders. That is where we have not transcended. People have not transcended their parties, their personal individual aspirations, and they simply want to exhibit strife all the time. So it is this time that we want teamwork.
What is delaying such a teamwork? Why don't you contact the others and then?
We have delayed because we do not want, for instance, in DP to bring our confusion into the new team. No, we want to sort out these things first and then go into the new team when you are a party. We don't want the confusion from other parties also to be brought in your team. You come with vendetta, you come clean, and we say, where is the new team that Uganda can trust with power? And then once that is done, Museveni will be in history.
Finally, how long are you going to reorganize yourselves in DP?
Currently, we don't have the National Executive Committee because it was quashed by Justice Philip Odochi. So we want to see how we can reorganize ourselves through the National Council, get an interim leadership which is going to organize the National Delegates Conference. We think the National Electoral Commission would be useful at this juncture because the National Executive Committee, which would have organized the National Council, was quashed. So the Electoral Commission of Uganda can help us through the National Council, which are district chairpersons and the parliamentary group who are not part of the National Executive Committee, in order to steer the party further. That is what we want. Oh yes, we want to join hands. We want to join hands to ensure that you don't need to lose your DNA as FDC. I don't need to lose my DNA as DP, but we need to put our act together to make Uganda a better place. It's like when we supported the Chagulanyi for president. I am DP, but I headed his campaign in the greater Chagwe area. So I didn't lose my DNA as DP, but I supported a candidate who could establish a new dispensation. That was the power of the people. And, we can espouse these ideas to ensure that all leaders can come together, and then they put a minimum agenda which they can achieve, not for themselves but for Uganda.
Maybe in your wisdom, how can hypocrisy in political parties be addressed?
Well, we have been shy about telling off people as we see them hobnobbing with the system. But I think it is high time that we cleanse ourselves from time to time to ensure that once we identify some people who are unscrupulous or they are looking for their own individual gains, we tell them off. We employ the party systems to cleanse ourselves.